Welcome, guys. This is the Locals Legends podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Sang, and I have here with me.
I'm Caleb.
And I'm Cole.
All right, introductions. We're gonna go through how we pretty much started playing Yu-Gi-Oh, how we're doing with it so far, and what we think about the current format, and like what are our favorite decks and archetypes and stuff like that. So for me, I'm Sang. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since 2014. Uh, one of my favorite decks is probably Pepe back in what was that, like 2016 format. It was only there for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
The 2 week format. Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Well, is that your favorite
And
format?
that's probably one of my favorite format. I really like Toss format as well. That's when I really got into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. And what I'm playing for this current format is Fire King, a Snake Eyes.
Yeah,
I'll hand it over to Caleb.
So I've only been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since 2019. Actually, in Toss format was my first start to locals. I've really only been playing competitive for probably like 2.5, 3 years now. But my favorite deck, everybody knows this. Some people call me the Thunder God. I don't know, but it's definitely Thunder Dragon. So my favorite card's Colossus, free Colossus, by the way. Favorite format's got to be Toss. I like Brain Kids format a little bit too. Big Brain Kids guy as well. And currently I'm playing Raid Raptor, but I'm trying to pick up Voiceless. Raid Raptor's fun, but Voiceless is definitely better.
What's up, guys? Cole here. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since 2014. Probably started playing competitively in 2016. My favorite deck, Orcus. You know, the Orcus God, if you look back on our YouTube channel. One of my other favorite decks is Rock. And probably my favorite format is probably COVID format when Rock was playable.
Emancipator's the best deck to never exist.
Dude, no, that deck was crazy. But currently I'm playing Voiceless Voice and toying around with Centurion.
Yeah, so we're just going to talk about the current format for a little bit. Honestly, like just our opinions, what we think about it, what we think are the better decks, and what are good options to play. I'm sure you guys know it's not a very fun format right now. It's kind of dominated by the Fire King, Snake Eye, and Snake Eye Pures. But it's okay. We don't mind tier 0.5 formats or tier 0, as some people would call them. But yeah, we'll talk about some of the best decks. So I would say I'll just start out with my opinion. I personally think that Pure Snake Eye is a little bit better. I think Fire King is a little bit more grind. But I think Pure Snake Eye is, at least in my experience, a little bit of a tougher matchup.
Yeah, I think it's because they could play a lot of non-engine stuff, a lot more than the Fire King version.
I don't know. I think the exact opposite. I think Fire King is better than Pure.
I just think Fire King has higher kill potential than regular Snake Eye.
True. It's recursive as well. Like that's definitely some of the hardest part about going against it is like even if you like evenly or get rid of their board, they always have follow up. They always have ways to play the next turn, and you basically have to kill them turn 2, or turn 3. Otherwise, you're done. They're just gonna keep out grinding you.
I think what a really good counter to those decks is just like the branded, the flu playing Shifter.
Yeah,
that's just a strong card right now.
Yeah.
Any deck that can play Shifter right now is going to be crazy. Obviously, everybody knows that. But I obviously, Cole, you've been playing Voiceless. I really like Voiceless in my testing. I think it's solid, especially with the new support that it's getting. It looks crazy. It's kind of mid range. It doesn't do too much. Doesn't really lose to a lot of hand traps, and I think that's probably, along with branded, the best counter in the format currently until something happens.
I feel like Voiceless is more of like a helmet deck than like a mid-range deck.
Yeah, it's
on one guy.
Play.
True. There's not a lot that it does right now, but what it does is really good. I mean, a 4100 beater that can't be targeted and has to be attacked into with an Omni negate.
Yeah.
And a trap that can pop or special. Like it's just got a lot of different plays, a lot of different layers of interaction, which I think is important in this format. And it can play hand traps, and the branded package has been really good in Voiceless, and branded obviously is a good deck as well. But I've been seeing, obviously, it kind of plays around different hand traps. So if something gets stopped, you have a way to send it like a Saphira, send anything like that, and kind of just keep going with your plays. And you end on a Mirror Jade, which let's face it, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Mirror Jade's a pretty good card, but
What's your guys' opinions on like the Pearly and Labyrinth in this format right now?
I
Yeah, so
mean,
it's hard. Yeah, you can go.
I was gonna say I think they're like good, but I compared to like the decks that we have ranked above it, I just don't think they compete that much. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was really hard to put them even in top decks, to be honest with you. Just because there's not really like a ton of representation there. Like there's some, but they're not doing anything crazy, and everybody knows what they do at this point. Lab, I think, is a surprising one to me that it's not better. Obviously, it had a lot of hype with transaction rollback and the Black
Black
Oath.
Gold laughs, yeah.
Mhm. Um,
Yeah. So let's get into the rogue decks right now. I think the best rogue deck is probably Salamangreat. That's
yep.
my personal opinion.
I would say it's the third best fire deck, which is probably why a lot of people aren't on it. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, I just think it's you can't really play the Snake Eyes stuff with the Salamangreat stuff, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
I
Same
think
with
they're
like
just
the
a little
Rescue
bit
Ace
better
too.
than Rescue Ace.
Yeah, Rescue Ace
yeah,
doesn't really
I'm
play the Snake Eyes stuff, and that's what makes like those fire decks better.
that was the surprising one to me, that it wasn't going to be better. And I mean, it's done okay.
It's still good, yeah.
But I think people just realize that it's not the best fire deck. And it kind of loses to a lot of the targeted negation in the format right now. Which I was really surprising because I played Rescue Ace last format and it was obviously really good. I just kind of lost interest in it, especially with the new stuff coming out.
Yeah, I just think it bricks a lot more too compared to
Yeah,
like the other fire decks.
Hmm.
4 basic inherent bricks or 3, I guess 4, yeah, that don't do anything is pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when 2 of them are traps. That they were nice. The send off witch, because then you can obviously add it back with the emergency.
Hmm.
But I think rogue is actually, if you're not going to play fire, I think you should play rogue, this format at least, just to have a little bit of fun. I think it can compete. There's a lot of different rogue decks. Like I would say everything on that list is highly competitive. It's not as good, but it can definitely steal a couple of wins here and
Yeah, I
there.
feel like they're all a notch below the top decks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as
Definitely.
a resident Raid Raptor player, how do you think about that deck in the meta?
I think it's pretty solid in the meta, but I think it's tough with people playing 15 to 18 hand traps in most decks,
Hmm.
because it can play through a lot of interruption, but it can also lose to like an Ash on the rank 5 or Imperm on the Raiders night, a Droll in the wrong place. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of tough. I mean, the boards that it puts up are basically unbeatable. I mean, you can try to grind it out, but most of the time you're losing that game.
Yeah.
A 53 and a 4K and a 3500 beater, 2 of them which blow up the entire field and burn, is pretty hard to play through. So it's definitely a deck you need to stop early on before it gets going and gets its board set up.
Yeah, I just think these rogue decks all are suffering this format because everybody's on like 15 plus hand traps, so
Exactly.
it's kind of hard to
Yeah,
play
it's
rogue. But
It's yeah, definitely, and that's that kind of leads into the next kind of set of things is hand traps or board breakers. It's pretty tough now because I think everybody is on the hand traps idea, but I've seen people try to play around with board breakers. So I guess what are your guys' opinions? What do you think?
I
I
still think hand traps are probably better this format,
for sure.
just for the fact that you're trying to stop your opponent from playing on their turn, and
Mm-hmm.
you just want those extra interactions going forward. But I've seen most people starting to like drop Droll or like play one and playing cross outs, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
What is your guys' thoughts on that?
crossout's like actually huge in this format. I think a lot more people are on it, but I think the problem with a lot of the board breakers that are like decent, like evenly matched in Dark Ruler, is like you don't have a battle phase basically. So it's like, and you know your
Yeah.
opponent's just gonna OTK you on the next turn, so it's like hard to play that stuff. And like a lot of decks are just like playing through Super Poly now, so like that's not
Hmm.
even really that good of a
Yeah,
card.
I've seen a lot of people actually take Super Poly out, like even like in voiceless, like even branded I've seen, which is kind of crazy to me, but yeah, no, it's definitely tough. The nice part about hand traps is obviously it's kind of hand trap wars, no matter what, like with your opponent, depending on what deck they're playing, obviously. But if you get stopped on like your one card starter and you have 2, 3 hand traps, I still feel pretty safe that I can make it to my next turn, which is kind of nice depending on the deck you're playing if you have a great way to follow up. But I think that's like you said, saying I think people are dropping the troll, which is understandable, just because I mean, Snake Eyes and Fire King can play through drill now. They know how to, so there's not really a deck that it kills besides Mana Diem.
Yeah, like
Um,
combo deck stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
it hurts Voice's voice a little bit, but like if you have the right pieces in your hand, like a draw list doesn't matter.
So what do you guys think about maining like 12 to 15 to 18 hand traps and then also side decking hand traps? Do you think that's smart
Ooh,
or
I do that. Like I side like Ghost Spells because I don't think like Ghost Spells like
is the
great
main
as a
deck worthy?
matchup. Yeah, but it's like good in the Fire King matchup, obviously, and
Hmm.
like
yeah?
the voiceless matchup is good. But if you're like going to like a regional, like I don't expect to like only play like those decks. Like
Yeah.
I expect to play like a lot of stuff, so that's why like I put it in the side.
True. Especially a
As I'm
regional.
as I'm looking through this list, I noticed like the bestials and DD Crow. What do you guys think about the bestials and like Phantasme with it?
I low key thought Bestials were gonna be so bad this format, but then like the more you look at it, like hitting the Link Rebo and hitting like
Hmm.
the IP, like
Low
Yeah,
that's
hitting that,
that's
low is
like
insane
crazy.
as well. Like
hitting low is so
Yeah,
good
hitting
too.
low like
Yeah.
Saphira and like there's a lot of like targets to hit
Yeah, I
with
feel like they had a
Bestials.
big resurgence after the last YCS.
Yeah.
true. I'm a big fan. I actually started side decking crows because I'm playing Raid Raptors and you kind of need
Hmm.
Raid Raptors. And then I also started side decking Phantasme, which is interesting. Like it definitely sucks when you're not playing against fire. Because a lot of
Yeah.
decks like you don't really want to side it in, but when you're playing against fire, especially when you are playing
Yep.
15 to or more hand traps, being able to Phantasme and then have targeting protection as well as
Yep.
maybe draw into a nib, draw into a Veiler, an Ash, something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I think
drawing more
that
hand traps. So
and just
good.
fixing your hand. Like if you draw your Garnet, put it right
Yep.
back in the deck. I think it's kind of slept on. I think people are starting to get on it now.
Oh yeah.
Um, One thing with the hand traps I've been surprised about is the play of Mourner, but it does make sense. It's more targeted negation.
Yep. It
But
can
the
play
last
under shifter. I think
true,
that's a really big part of it.
Hmm.
that is probably the biggest advantage. I was just surprised that when I was watching the 3v3 YCS, how many people were on that card,
Yeah.
main deck or side deck, which was pretty interesting. One card I do also kind of want to talk about that cooks my deck is Ogre. I want to get your guys' opinion on it.
I for some
I haven't
reason the
seen Ogre that
OCG
much.
the OCG is just like going insane over this card. Like it's in every deck, and I don't understand why. I mean, they have like a Fire King heavy format over there, so maybe it's just good to hit the Sanctuary. I
Suppose,
don't
yeah.
really know. I don't know, and then maybe because I mean they have obviously a different format. They have
The
like
Maxi.
what that in like Tempe too or whatever the deck
Hmm.
is. So maybe that's like goes a
Yeah,
little
that
bit
I was just
better.
wondering the same thing because I had seen people kind of hyping it up and talking about it in a couple of different videos and things, and I was really kind of confused because I know, like I said, it kind of cooks Raid Raptor, but it's not really good against the rest of the format, and I wouldn't say it's good against Fire. There's not a lot that you could hit besides the Sanctuary or I mean the island, and even then they might have Sanctuary up, so it doesn't not going to do
Yeah.
anything there.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel like Ogre isn't really that strong in our format right now because of what kind of decks there are. Like against the Fire King strategy, I don't think it's that good. Maybe it's. I think it would probably be better against the Snake Eyes pure,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
that's just being hopeful right there.
Yeah, and let's be real. I mean, if you're not building to beat fire, like you're not really doing it right. If you're playing highly competitive, at least.
Yeah.
The cool thing I was kind of wondering about as well is the gamma and epsilon package. I've always liked gamma. I think epsilon can be good, but
Hmm.
um, I guess playing the driver is always tough. You never really want that brick in your deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
But it
know.
does
I
have a
think
lot
it's
of
okay.
yeah. I think it has a lot of application. People just got to experiment with it a little bit more. Over to the board breakers, I know we kind of talked about them a little bit more, but I mean, there's not really a lot on there that I would say is really going to do much. This format evenly is kind of the one that people
I think
try to
Talents is
say.
good.
Talents, yeah, oh for sure. Yeah,
Talents and
definitely missed
Thrust,
that.
like
I think talent's more so than thrust right now.
yeah, I
I think
think
people are trying to play around the thrust a lot more.
True.
I think Talents is just a little bit more crazy because everybody's obviously running like 15 plus hand traps. So it's I mean you're almost guaranteed it's gonna be live like turn one. So
Yeah,
if you do want to like main deck it or side it in for going first, and like even if you don't want to like draw two, you could still like rip a card out of your opponent's hand. You get to like get that hand knowledge and like shuffle back their starter.
I would say that's almost more important,
Yeah.
especially if you're going first, and then you can see if there's any more hand traps. Obviously, you guys know how important that is to know if you can play free or play safe.
Yep.
But when you know you're playing free, you can go full combo, and then if they don't have any hand traps, like you said, you could rip the one card starter. You could rip a board breaker that they might have, like something like that,
Yeah.
which is obviously really good.
I think
Um,
Lightning Storm and Duster and Cosmic are almost like staples in the side, in my opinion. I mean, because I don't know.
I would just I would disagree on the Lightning Storm and Duster, but Cyclone for sure, at least 2 to 3 in the side deck, if not in the main.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always like trying to see back row removal because like if I'm going
Hmm.
against Fire King, I know they're siding in Summon Limit, so it's like
Yeah.
you gotta get rid of that card.
Yeah, some of them it is a problem.
Floodgate, Summon Limit, Anti-Spell.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Anti
strong
skill,
cards. All right.
very strong.
Go next.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about kind of the ban list, what we hope to see. I think this is a pretty hype discussion now that people are getting kind of sick of the format already. So what do you guys think? I guess you can just
I think we
start with the
laid it
hits.
out here pretty well. Snake Eyes hits would be pretty good. Maybe some more branded hits, probably like the Gimmick Puppet. But since we're knowing that we might get some more Gimmick Puppet support later, who knows about that?
I think they just hit Sanctifier because I mean like you hit Gimmick Puppet and it's like I bet you they just find another card.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know.
I think I was thinking gimmick puppet before I saw the gimmick puppet support, and you know how Konami is, they like to kind of keep decks alive that they're giving support to. So I can definitely see the
Hmm.
Sanctifier hit, and you could kind of tell with a lot of their new cards. A lot of it is like special summoning from your grave to your opponent's field, which if that's kind of like their one gimmick, um, it's definitely something that they'd probably
Yeah.
want to keep. Flu, I think Storm needs to go. Get it out of here. I hate that card. It's terrible. I hate it. And yeah, they shouldn't get Storm and Shifter, is my opinion.
Mm,
Yeah.
I could see that, but like it's just like hitting those unfair cards. Just like in our general hits, we have Prosperity, Shifter, Summon Limit, Anti-Spell, something like a Fenrir, maybe for Beatrice for like all the new Fiend support level 6 that are coming out. Calamity, just an unfair card. Maybe even hitting a cross out in IP.
Yeah, I think IP is an interesting hit. Actually, I don't want to see it go, but I think it does hurt a lot of decks. I think it makes SP not as good either. SP is still a good card, obviously, but
Oh
IP
yeah.
into SP is just so insane.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Um,
following the OCG with the Pros Pit and the cross out hit. What do you guys think about those? Like compare it from the OCG to the TCG.
I just don't think Crossout has had that impact yet.
Yeah, this is
Hmm.
the first format it's really been good for us. Or it's had its times, but I don't think crossout should get hit. Prosp, yeah, I could see it going to 1 or 2. Mill 6 to add 1 is crazy.
Yeah. And then I
Let's
mean,
let's get back to the talk about Snake Eyes real
oh yeah,
quick.
we
Like
skipped
Fire
over
King.
that.
Yeah, I think
Um,
that's going to be the big one.
Yep. So we have Link Karibo, Snake Eyes Ash, Flameburge, Wanted, Original, Kieran, and Garunix. I don't think Kieran or Garunix are gonna get hit
yeah,
from the Fire King.
I don't think so either. If anything, it should be like Wanted to
Yeah,
one,
I think it's gonna be like
and
a
then
Wanted Original. If they want to kill Snake Eyes, they just put like Flameburge to 1. Then you're like your recursion and your grind game won't be as good.
yeah.
Link Karibo probably just hurts the deck so much.
Yeah,
And then Snake Eyes Ash getting hit. That's like one of the big starters in the deck.
yeah, I think general consensus is probably Ash to 1, maybe a Flame Burst ban. I think that the best hit, as far as future playability and future card making, is original actually, because that's what gets you into all your different engines. Like it still makes Snake Eye playable and good, but like you can't play Snake Eye Fire King. I mean, you can, but it's not able to bridge as
Yeah,
well.
it won't be as good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I don't think Wanted to 1 does anything. I think people just play 3 Witch then. And I mean, if they're not already, it just hurts consistency a little bit, but it's not
Hmm.
enough for the deck itself.
I think if they want to do something and like not in or directly hit them and indirectly hit them, they hit like Wanted to 1 and Original to 1 and do something like that.
Yeah, I don't think Original to 1 does anything though. Because
It uh,
Pure
It might
Snake
get
Eyes
a
might be
little
playing
bit.
two, but like I mean, you're playing Fire King. Are you playing two
Mhm.
original?
Oh, right now, Fire King. No, I am not
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think
personally.
so
original. I think Wanted and then Ash to one would be like the best hits.
I think Ash to one would be nice because then when you get rid of that one Ash, you know that like that's all that they have for recursion. Especially if you can banish it somehow.
But even
Um,
if you banish it, they would just have Oak back to
To
summon
bring it
it, so
back,
you have to
yeah.
put it
True.
face down.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think Voiceless is gonna get hit. I
No,
think
I don't think so.
Diviner could go to one or two maybe, just because Diviner's been a
Well,
good
now,
card for a while.
now that they got Drytron support, I don't think they're gonna hit Divider. But I think the deck's strong, but I don't think it's strong enough to like warrant
One
a
to
True.
hit.
hit. Yeah.
I personally think that if Snake Eye gets hit enough, Voiceless is going to be tier one, probably the best deck next format. That's my
Yeah.
personal opinion. Um,
I don't know. I
Kind of
think
skipped over Branded a bit. We
yeah, I mean we
I feel
I
like
mean
it
we
won't
talked
get
about
hit all.
Saintfire.
Yeah.
I think Saintfire or Gimmick Puppet has to get hit because
Hmm.
I mean, granted, yes, I should be playing some way to out it. I should be playing Crows or Bestials, but it's just dumb that you lose to that card because there's no way that you're not losing turn three if you get Gimmick Puppet because they already have 6K on board. You have a set monster, maybe a couple of set spells
Mhm.
and traps, but Brand Fusion to two could be a thing. I think isn't that what it is in the
It's at
OCG
one
or
in the
what?
OCG.
I consistency wise, Konami doesn't like. I mean, it is a lore deck, so it's hard to say, but they typically don't like older decks staying in a format for too long. So they'll try to do something to at least
Maybe.
make it less powerful.
Yep.
Um,
What do we think about like shifter summon limit anti spell? Do you think I don't know if they would get rid of
I think
summon
they should hit
limit.
them.
I think they should. I should as well, but I mean they already
Well,
hit all the
will they?
floodgates.
Maybe not.
They probably not because I mean they already put like what goes and matches at one, rivalries
Yep.
at one.
all
Hmm.
three of the type and attribute ones. Yeah,
Yeah, they're all at one. Yeah. So I don't
I
know
want
if
Shifter gone. I I mean I've been not never been a fan of Shifter really. I mean even at one I'd be happy. I think it needs some hit. It survived so many lists without
Hmm.
anything. Everybody knows it's a problem card, but it might be one of those necessary evils like Troll.
Yeah.
keeps the
But
Or
power
another card
around.
that survived a bunch of hits is Fenrir.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I just
that's
don't
that
think
was a
Fenrir
surprise
is
to
that
me.
good this format. I mean, I think it's okay this format, but like not a lot of people are playing it. Like especially
True.
like the fire decks are not playing it, and like even other
Hmm.
decks are not playing it because it's just like another summon that like opens you up into Nib. So
Hmm.
I mean the face down banish is really good, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Fenrir will get hit. Maybe a semi limit. Just to I don't know. I guess I probably wouldn't do that this list, but if cash still becomes a thing,
Yeah, I was gonna say Cash is like a popular like anti meta pick, I
mhm,
guess, right now. So maybe like Fender to one to like hit the Cash deck and to hit it as like a non-engine card.
yeah. Anti spell summon limit. I could see them putting it to one, but I really don't think they'll hit it with the recent floodgate hits because they know people like to play stun,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't really want to piss those people off.
Yeah.
Beatrice, I think that's a hot topic, especially like you said with the new Fiendsmith stuff coming out.
I think Beatrice should have been banned a long time ago. I mean,
I
Yeah.
agree.
if Curious can't exist and Laval Dragon can't exist, Beatrice can't exist. I mean, they all do the same thing. Like, they just foolish a card.
Yeah,
Any
especially
card.
some of those decks that are playing transaction in the Mayakashi. I mean, if you can get two sixes out, you have that, which is your opponent can't special summon.
Except from the grave,
Which
yeah.
yeah, except from the grave, which is obviously really good. Calamity needs to go. I
Dude, Calamity's not doing anything. It doesn't need to go.
No, I know, but I think it's one of those cards where
It's one of
it's
those
like
unfair cards that are still here.
and I
Like
think
some niche deck could
The
use.
the thing with like Calamity is like it's especially like right now it is so easily like outable because like
I
everybody's
understand that.
on a bunch of hand traps, so it's like
I just think like it might be a hot take here, but I think that Centurion actually gets better without Calamity. Because they can play kind of a little bit more pure and not just try to go for like a gimmicky type of thing. You can just set up like a
Gimmicky
good
lock,
board.
yeah.
And especially with the new support coming out, I think that it actually probably helps them maybe, and it maybe might even put more people onto it because some people don't like playing, like you said, just like a lock type of
mhm.
card like that. Yeah, IP and crossout we kind of went over. Like I said, I think IP would be an interesting hit. Um, I don't think they will just because. people are kind of coping that the little colon P is going to become an archetype with the EMP and SM or SP.
Yep.
So I doubt that they hit it. Crossout, I don't think that it's
No.
necessary.
All right.
Now we can kind of switch over to what we think is going to come off the list. We got a pretty big list here. We were kind of just going through the ban list and writing stuff down that we think could come off or maybe be changed from limited to unlimited or semi-limited, anything like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more that we went over, but these are some of the ones that we pulled out.
Yeah, we got Heavy Storm.
For sure could come off. I mean, if
Come off the list.
if Harpies is out, Heavy Storm could be out.
I think it could be at 1.
Yeah.
Pank, I think, could come to 3. I think it would be a nice little side deck option. I tried playing with Pank at the start of this format, but it really just wasn't doing it for me. But I think if it's at 3,
Yeah, I think it's
people
more
would
for
be-
like the rogue decks.
yeah.
Glow Bulb might come back.
Yeah, with
People were saying about that.
That new plant deck coming out, maybe.
The Rika.
I think Glow Ball could come back.
Yeah. Masterpiece and Diagram. I don't really have a lot of experience with these cards, so I guess I'll leave it up to you guys what
It's
you
just like
think.
Masterpiece is another Towers card.
Yeah.
And then Diagram is just a searcher for the deck. It just adds consistency. They might be able to bring it back.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of ways to out like Masterpiece now that I feel like it could come back. And
Okay,
honestly,
so
if it did come back, I don't think it would.
now that you say that, I just want to just skip a couple here real quick. So you said there's a lot of ways to out it. I think Colossus could come off.
Okay,
Colossus.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that,
We'll get to
buddy.
that.
All right,
All right,
well,
next up we have Curious. I don't think Curious will come off the list.
No.
I think it's a real degenerate
the
card.
card's insane.
It's another Foolish Burial. It's just like Beatrice, but it's pretty easy to make.
I think the only reason it would is because of the Light Sworn support.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Maybe for the Light Sworn stuff, but it's like generically like just way too good.
It's just generically way too good.
I agree.
The Prank Kids Meow Moo.
It could come back. I mean,
Yep.
I think it could come back.
Unleash the kids. Let's
personally
go.
don't understand why this card was banned in the first place because I feel like Prank Kids was a good deck, but I don't think it was like that.
I think
insane.
Prank Kids was the best deck.
It was
in
the
that
best
format.
deck in that format, and that's why it got hit. And it's a Link 1.
Yeah, Link ones are always broken.
Misk. I think it could come back.
They come back to 3. But
I think
hate
Dinos
that card
suck.
so much. I hate
Maybe not
this
suck, but
card so much. I'm like a personal vendetta against this card because of Hunter playing this.
I think they'll do the semi-limit, test it out, and then kind of switch it
I
up
think
from
they're
there.
trying to get away from semi-limit stuff. Like, we barely have stuff semi-limited anymore.
I like the idea of semi-limits,
Yeah.
honestly, but
Alright, next is Black Dragon. I do
It'd
not
come back
think
to
it would
1.
come back.
I think it'd come back to
Like,
1.
people say that, but I think it just adds so much for, like,
yeah.
degenerate decks to do something with it.
I don't know.
Granted, yeah, you can go because you're the rock kind of been the rock
I-
guy the last couple of weeks here, so
And just like playing it back in the day, like the reason it was like so good is because like you could just Union Carrier, equip it to a rock monster, and then link off the monster, and then get like Search 3. Like it was so easy. It was so easily like accessible, and like now you have to like the only way to really consistently search for it is like you overlay for Granite, and then just
You know,
detach
you have
and search it.
yeah, but
You have
that's so easy.
Foolish Burial. You have
It's a one-off. Yeah, the Foolish Burial
Right.
one-off.
Yeah, Beatrice.
Search 3 is
Yeah,
insane,
Beatrice,
though.
because I'm making a rank 6 in my synchro deck. I think it could come
100%.
back. I mean,
I think it would be interesting, especially with like the Vernisylph stuff. I don't think a lot of people have explored that, and I've always liked those cards. I
That's
think
what
they
I'm
can do a
running
lot.
Oh, nobody explored it because
That-
they were never in the same format. But
they're in
yeah,
the same format. But that's what I'm playing now, and I mean, like, that stuff is like crazy. The Vernisylph stuff is insane in that deck. So I've been like toying around with it.
you know what else is crazy? This Tier Element Kit Callus.
Fuck,
People want to
yeah.
get that one.
No,
I think you could come back at 1. I mean,
no, bro.
Dude,
Tier
they don't-
becomes
like,
tier
they
1
don't
All
again.
have
the other
Millers?
tier monsters are at 1.
Send 8.
They don't have the Millers. They only
Send
have one of
8.
each of the Shufflers.
Send
it doesn't
8, bro.
matter
Like,
if you only
it
have
could come
one of
back.
each name.
But then
Oh,
it'll be like
man.
it'll be a deck with like a bunch of different engines. I feel like.
Yeah, I think it could come back, but
I would disagree, but that's okay. All right,
I don't think
Here we
this
go,
card comes
baby.
back. I can't come back, dude. Colossus is awful.
bro. Colossus is coming back this list. I've been
Mistake
saying
on
this
legs?
Three
I think it's
years?
pretty outable, but would they give something back that's so easy to summon
True.
to come
That
off
is
the list?
that is the tough part about it. But you bring it back to one, and you just need to out one. Granted, it does have like the destruction protection, which is good, but there's so much non-destruction removal. You can, there's just a lot of ways to out it imperm. If you hold imperm for your turn, just imperm it right there. Um, I think that it will. I've been huffing a lot of copium the last couple of days because we got one thunder monster that is basically a thunder dragon card. So I'm pretty hyped that Thunder Dragon might get some support, and then they release Colossus. If not, release him, give us a different fusion that does the same thing, but not a mistake on legs.
Uh, Electromite could come back.
Yeah,
If they
Pendulum's
want
not
to
doing
push for like
anything
Pendulums.
different
wrong.
pendulum decks,
Pendulum is not best deck, no matter what anybody
It's
says.
not. It's not even rogue. Yeah, it could come back. The pendulum needs that little boost. Ancient Fairy Dragon, DeLong, like Denlong, they can all come back. I mean,
Yeah,
nobody's
especially
really
with the
playing them
errata.
now. Yeah, nobody's really playing them now, so it's like
All right, now I know you have a heavy opinion on this next one. What do you think about Scarecrow coming back?
Scarecrow would come back. It should have never been hit in the first place.
They murdered that deck. They slaughtered it.
With
Didn't even
one
get a
hit,
chance.
one hit, I got to play the deck for like 2 weeks.
That just goes to show you how crazy Link ones can be. Like
yeah, they're
hitting
really
that one
strong.
card.
Scarecrow is an
Kill the
insane
deck.
card. Like to be able to
Yeah.
like revive one, it is a crazy card, and it allows you to like have like Bow be a starter because you just normal summon it, link it off, and then Bow's a search.
I
But-
think
Yeah.
the next card right here, Red Reboot, I think it's a really controversial card. Because you have
It's
stuff
always been
like
interesting.
back row removal, like Harpies, Lightning Storm, maybe Heavy Storm coming off the list, maybe. But like Red Reboot, just against trap decks, feel like auto win sometimes.
Yeah, if you draw it, especially when it was at when it was at one before, you drew it against a trap deck. You're like, yeah, I win this game. It doesn't matter.
But now with like Thrust being in the game, I didn't even think about this before. You could just search Red Reboot.
Isn't it a counter trap?
No, it's a counter trap.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
a counter trap. I thought it was a
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them bringing it back to one. I don't think it's necessary or needed. Trap decks aren't good. They haven't been good for a while. I mean, just goes to show like Lab had all this hype. It's got all these great cards, but it's
I
not
still
doing
think
anything.
Lab is really good still.
Yeah, I think it's good too. I just don't think anybody wants to play it because it's trap deck. It's a little bit more combo oriented, but all right.
Dragon
Rulers.
Dragon Rulers
Um,
come back.
Never played in Rulers format, so I don't really know how bad these cards were. I've heard a lot of stories. I've seen a lot of videos.
I think now these Dragon Rulers won't do that much. Maybe like in Dragon Link if they find a way, if they all come back out to do something with them. But I don't think the Dragon Rulers will do
I
anything
think
if it gets
just
them
pure
banned.
Dragon Rulers is not really that great of a deck anymore. I just don't think it's gonna do anything.
We got Masterpiece in there again.
Masterpiece in there again. Shout out.
All right, cool.
Shout out to Greg.
Magic Spectre Kieran. I think with the new Magic Spectre support, this card can easily come up. I actually read it for the first time yesterday, and it is a good card.
It is a good card.
Yeah, it is a good card.
I understand why it was banned,
Nope.
but I think it can come back. Like I said before, penned. Whatever, who cares?
The Supreme King Starving Venom. I'm pretty sure that's part of an FTK, so
Yeah,
I
it
don't
can't
think
come
it would
back.
ever come back.
Also,
Same with
Galaxy
the
Tomahawk.
Galaxy Tomahawk.
I can't believe you even put it on the list, Caleb. That card's not
Well,
coming
I think
back.
You
they
guys
enabled
know-
too many FTKs.
You guys
Summon
know what?
5 tokens.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right.
You just link climbing then.
Yeah, let's just bring Gofu back. Like, let's just bring all
Um,
these other cards back.
Going back to the Supreme King, what was the? Do you know what it was using in
It was
the
for
other
a
graveyard?
FTK.
Yeah, I don't
just-
remember, but
I suppose.
Yeah, it was
Anything that
some-
copies effects has always been.
Yep, so you pretty much just
Broken.
burn your opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think grass probably shouldn't come off. I would love it
I
to.
think there's an argument that it can come off because like now everybody's accessible to Ash, Blossom, and like all this.
Plus
other
with the
stuff.
new Infernoid stuff coming out,
I think it could come
maybe
back
grass
as
will
one.
get a look at.
I
But
think it
just
would be.
with all like the graveyard hate that we have right now. I don't know if it'll be that good of a card.
I think it would be fun. I think it would make formats a little bit more fun because you never know when you're going to see that random 60 card pile. But I always love pile decks. the next three are kind of all related. The Armageddon Knight, Dark Refer, Danger cards, just good dark monsters. Two of them that send, and dangers have obviously always been good.
I think Armageddon and Dark Refer can both come back. I mean, they're both like debatably like. I mean, Dark Refer you can special summon, but they're both like normal summons that do basically the same thing.
Mhm.
And I mean, with all the hand traps going around right now, like I think they can both come
Imperm,
back.
yeah, Chain Imperm, Chain
Imperm,
Veiler,
yeah, Veiler,
Chain Ash.
Ash. Yeah, I think they can both come back.
Yeah, I
Same,
think the
same with
danger cards are good.
yeah.
Good to come back.
Think we're a little bit past like the danger cards like being as
They've
notorious
been
as they
power
were.
crept at this
Yeah,
point.
I don't think like a ton they've been power crap, but I mean they're not as good as they used to be. I think they can come
Yeah,
back. I mean
I think
nobody's
they're
really
a fan
tackling them.
favorite too. You know, people
Yeah.
love playing Danger because it is fun to play. It's one of those engines that you throw in a deck like Horus now, where it just makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun. You have different lines. It's random, you know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about the next format, which I have a little bit more hope for: Legacy of Destruction.
Yeah, we got some new decks coming in. Rika, we did a lot of research on this deck last night. This deck is not as good as I thought it was gonna be, but I mean, they're level one monster, the little plank guy in the top left. He's like good. He searches two cards. I think the deck has
Well,
potential. You just have to wait for more support to come out.
it might be splashed in what is
Yeah, it is
the
like
Rika?
generic plant,
It's
reptile,
plant,
and
reptile, and something else, right?
Yeah,
insect. I think yeah.
Insect,
yeah,
yeah.
insect.
Which I think are three. I mean, besides plant, I would say as much, but three kind of unexplored typings. Obviously, like there's like Dick, which has always interested me, like the sending, and then insects has really never gotten the love that it deserves. Beat Troopers was supposed to be good, but it never amounted to anything. You know, it's
I
another
think they
bad
won like
TCG.
online.
Yeah, they had
And
like a little splash there, but yeah, nothing crazy.
I think it could be interesting. I think somebody could play with the deck and really make it something cool. Maybe not hyper competitive, but competitive enough and fun to play.
Hmm.
Um,
Now this big one, I think, is gonna like totally shift the format when it comes out.
the
Is
Tenpai.
yeah, Tenpai. I mean,
Big in the
just
OCG right now.
yeah, just can play a ton of non-engine and like super consistent, like just engine in general. So like you just get to any of the pieces that you need, and it just OTKs. That's
Yeah,
basically it's OTK dot deck.
I've always loved OTK decks. They always interest me, especially this one. I mean, I read a couple of the cards and I've seen some general gameplay, but like the spell is really good. Makes them I think unaffected because they're fire dragon monsters.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I mean just the OTK potential is insane. And I think that the OCG tech that they've been doing with Heatwave is super interesting for going first. Obviously, you need to draw the out or draw the card because it's beginning of main phase.
Hmm.
But it just makes you do nothing, makes your opponent do nothing, and then if they can't do anything, next turn, you're easily OTKing them.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we also got some more support here, which I think this is really the
the snag
interesting
type.
stuff.
Yep.
I think the ritual for Voices of Voice is not going to be as great, but the continuous spell I think is going to be pretty insane. Being able to like
Yeah,
recur the trap card and like just your banished Sephiras is going to
the
be
new
pretty
continuous
insane.
spell. Yeah.
Yeah, the new continuous spells is going to be insane.
What do you think people are going to play it at? The spell. Do you think it's going to
Uh,
be a three of?
Seeing OCG trends, they play it at one because I mean you can
Okay,
just place it with low. So
true.
I personally would probably play it at two. I don't see it being a three of because it's obviously not like a starter.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
not
It's
as
more
good
of
as
like
the
a
one that we have right now.
yeah. It's not like blessing or not blessing barrier, which is a starter because it can search. This is just more of like it helps you keep the game going and like helps you like recur your stuff and you can quick effect ritual summon on your opponent's turn, which is pretty nice.
Yeah,
And
I think that's the biggest part of it right there is what you said. Obviously, everybody knows playing on your opponent's turn is usually better.
mm-hmm.
So being able to ritual summon into something, I think you are. Yeah, it is light warrior dragon. So you're really kind of locked into Stravis, this one, or obviously the big booty.
And what do you think about
But
the new ritual that's coming out?
I think it's mid. I
I think
mean,
it's mid.
this one right here,
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean like
I
drawing
think it could be a
two,
one of.
discard one. It's just that you are gonna use your ritual summon on Skull Guardian, and
Hmm.
then your next target you're gonna bring out is Cerevis, because Cerevis is like it negates an inherent summon, and then it does something when it's in the hand. I mean, like this, like draws you 2 cards, discard one, like whatever, and
Yep.
then when your opponent attacks, I mean, you get to rip a card out of their hand, which is like whatever.
It's
I think
also
it's
when you
any
attack as
attack.
well.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's any attack.
Which I
Oh,
think
any
was the
attack.
good part. And I think the
Yeah.
end phase add back is obviously really good for recursion.
Yep.
I
You
could
just
see it
add
be
back
played at one.
Cyrus. I can see a play at one too.
I
Mm-hmm.
think probably people will cut it just for consistency reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a nice little tech card.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think that it's going to be really good. No, you're
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
The
And then
next
next up,
stuff. Yeah,
got the
uh,
new Dia Bellstar Snake Eyes cards.
I think the new Diabellstar card is cool. I think it's gonna like make it into like a stun deck. It's gonna be like the
Yeah.
next anti-meta deck.
I think they can have this out, inspector border, stuff like that. Have a
Mm-hmm.
link out to have this effect go off. But yeah, making it so that you have to set your spell and traps before you use them is is a very scary thing in the game.
It's just anti-spell and legs
Yeah.
basically. So I mean, yeah,
yeah.
and
I
putting
So
charge
like for
traps.
your
So.
imperm, you can't even activate the imperm straight up.
mhm.
You have to set it. So
I mean,
it just blocks your opponent out.
also those are good against lab too. I mean, they do like with the one guy that pitches and then sets a card and you can activate it right away.
Hmm.
So
Uh, yeah, I think it's just going to give like the general Snake Idea Bellstar like a different line to play. Similar to like how Dogmatic it kind of went down a ritual pathway, which not a lot of people got, but I think it's really good. But I think it just gives it a different typing. It's not just an engine anymore. It gives it actually a somewhat playable archetype.
mm-hmm.
I
The
think they got
Snake
one
The
Eyes
more.
third
card.
effect on the guy, if a spell or trap is set on the field, you can just pop a card. That's just really strong with it as well.
Mm-hmm. And
Especially
then
if you have both of them correct.
yeah, if you have the other Diabellstar, you just pop it and then bring it back.
Hmm.
So
I think they got some more spells as well, or a spell and two traps.
yeah, let's
Looks
talk
like.
about this other Snake Eyes guy first. I think he's
Oh yeah,
bad. I think he's really bad, in my opinion. I maybe a one of at the most, but I don't think the Snake Eyes guy is really that good.
no, I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
Requires a lot of setup. It's a big guy. You can't get out just by normal summoning. You know, kind of waste
Well,
your.
you could summon it off of Ash.
Yeah, like a Snake Eyes effect, it would be summoned off of. But yeah, I just don't. I just don't think both the effects are like
Hmm.
super mid in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean the first one is like kind of okay.
Well, I think the second one would come up more when you activate the field spell
Hmm.
and then
Yeah,
get it in there
but
and get this guy in the back row because it's treated as a spell in the back row, so you
yeah,
would be able to activate that effect.
And then you get to put your, your oak or your ash or your flame version, special summon it, another
Yeah.
body.
hmm
Could make the field spell a little bit more playable with different lines with it at least.
yeah,
But yeah, overall, I don't think it's going to get played much.
yeah.
Looks like
Uh,
they got a quick play spell and they have a trap and they also got another trap, but we'll cover that in a second here.
I think this spell card is actually really good. Sang and I were talking about it yesterday. Um, it's good in like the mirror match, and I just think it's a good card in general for the deck.
Just removal.
Yeah, just good removal. That's like searchable.
Then if it's destroy, you can just shuffle 2 cards on the field into the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the Mech Knight Avermax type of
Oh, it's
effect.
also non-target shuffle.
Yep.
Hmm.
I think it's really good and pure. Obviously, if anybody kind of messes around with that, because obviously, if you're playing pure, you're going to likely to have more Sinful Spoils cards.
Yep.
And obviously, yeah, I think it could be an interesting play. Quick plays are always good. Being able to use it on your opponent's turn is really nice as well, especially after you already go through all your combo lines and have a couple engrave or banish.
hmm
Yeah. Then
Um,
for the trap card, I think it's just too slow to play.
Yeah, and the second effect is kind of weird, like to put a face down card. Like, I mean, I guess if one of your cards is gonna get destroyed, you could like banish just to like protect it and then reset it. But I don't know. I just don't think it's gonna be that great.
Hmm.
yeah, it's weird playing around like back row targeting removal. It's probably not very good. Yeah, it's suffers the same thing most traps do. It's too slow. just doesn't do a lot. Maybe
Yep.
it gets better with more illusion support, which obviously they've kind of been doing. We'll talk about that later. There's another really good card in this set. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's too great, but it does something.
Mm. I didn't even realize they had another trap too.
Yeah, the last trap.
Yep.
So it's a Book of Moon for special summon monsters.
Yeah, and it has the illusion effect as well.
Well,
Just set it again.
you get set it again, yeah.
And then yeah, it gets a recycling effect, but then it gets banished.
Yeah,
Nothing
Yep.
much.
that's okay. I mean, it's a good interruption card, I guess. But I mean,
Yeah, Book of Moon's just better.
Book of Moon is just better, yeah.
Alright, next up,
This is the stuff I'm most excited about.
the
I'm
Yubel
a big
cards.
GX guy. I would say I almost like it more than DM. But I think that this makes the deck even better than it already is, and they get the new fusion, which we're not sure when it's going to be coming, but probably a Battles of Legends set. That makes it just insane as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the level one just free special, and then you can banish it to a special another feed monster with 0 attack and defense from your hand or a graveyard, which it just
Yeah.
makes your play so much better. It makes it going into the Unchained stuff a lot better, like going into Yama. There's a lot of really good stuff that it does.
Like
So I think
water
it's
for the Yubel fusion as well. Stuff
yeah,
like
and
that.
it's a level one fiend with 0/0 attack, so it just plays right into everything. Um, I guess what do you guys think about Yubel in general? I know we kind of skipped over it before.
I think it's a good rogue deck. I mean, it's obviously not as good as it could be. You know, obviously with
Yeah, but
the
with
support
extra
better.
support, I think it could do something
Yeah, I
in the
can.
meta. I think it would do more at like regional level. Maybe get a top at like a YCS level event. But
Mhm. Do you remember who the guy was that was playing it on the 3v3 YCS?
I
I
can't
think he's
remember.
pretty well known, but he was playing it and kind of showing off what it can do, and it even now without the support, it looks kind of strong. But
Yeah, it searches super
um,
probably, doesn't it?
yep, and I think Super probably might not be good this format, but it's gonna be good in formats in the future. It's
Yeah,
an
I'll have to
insane
see.
card.
Yeah,
Um, the field spell,
searches
probably
one.
pretty solid, searches basically every monster in your deck. And then obviously, if anything leaves, add it to your hand, one of your Yubel monsters. And it's nice that it adds from Banish as well,
yeah,
deck or graveyard. So that's how
Playing
you get
around
into the.
Pistials.
Exactly. I think you go from like the 10 to the 11. I don't think anybody plays the 12, but just another good searcher. Probably a mandatory 3 of
Mhm.
in the deck, I would say. Overall, I'm really excited for the Yubel stuff, but
yeah.
Mhm.
The next up, got the Centurion
Centurion.
support.
This stuff's crazy. I'm super excited for this stuff because I've been messing around with Centurion. But I mean, it allows you to play Shifter and play around Vistials. 'Cause that's the problem with the deck right now. And the fact that it only has one tuner, but hopefully they
I
give
think
us more support in the future.
the OCG trend has been playing the Gargoyle at one, correct? Does that sound
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, are you talking about the level 8 guy?
The level
Yeah,
8 guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's okay. Basically kind of just does the same thing as the level 8 we have now, but just a little bit more.
It's nice that it can change its level. Level manipulation's always been good, especially if you need a 4 and like you have, another 8 out or anything like that. I think it could be really, really good. It's definitely a mandatory at least one of. Some people might
Hmm.
try two, maybe even three. But
Yeah, but the synchro guy is insane. I like him a lot. I mean, being able to add a Centurion card and then um, being able to place one back from your banish is insane.
protects your back row too.
Yeah, protects
I'm
back
Plays some
row.
cards.
Pretty
really
crazy.
glad they gave it the if this card is special summon clause because that's what the ranked or the not the rank but the Synchro 12 has now.
Mm,
So it's come up a couple of times where you can like even if you get it from your opponent's grave or something like that, it still gets its effect,
Hmm.
which is nice. It doesn't need to be synchro summoned. I think it makes it a little bit more versatile.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the quick play spell is crazy too. Um, another problem with the deck is like sometimes you have issues like bringing out the non tuner stuff, and like this just does it for you. Like during your opponent's turn, being a quick play spell, and you can like pick the level you want,
yeah,
and then you can banish it to dump one too, which is kind of nice. You can
another
dump the
token
trap.
card. Token
Yep.
cards have always been pretty good. Yeah, what do you send the trap? You said. I was kind of wondering about that before. I
Yeah.
don't have a ton
So
of experience with it.
the trap that you play, you banish it to special summon the synchro guy back, so you can
Oh,
banish the
yeah,
with that.
always
So
good.
yeah,
And it's not even the turn that it was set either. Or like the next turn.
Yeah.
Usually, a lot of those banish spells has say it has to be the next turn, so it's nice that you can do both.
Hmm.
Then you always have access to that if you get into it. Yeah, I think the
Yeah.
deck's going to be good,
Yeah, I think this is gonna be crazy. Good boost for the deck for sure.
even without Calamity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other archetypes that are getting support. I wouldn't say a lot of it is substantial. I think Lightsworn is probably the biggest one. Melodious has actually been doing
I
well in the OCG. If you guys have seen
that's
that,
yeah, that was gonna say that would be my biggest take from this like support coming out of this as Melodious. The pendulum cards they're getting, both of them are insane. I don't know exactly what they do, but I like been just watching like OCG gameplay and like it's just crazy. Like one of them's like a one card starter. You just get like the full board, and
Yep.
yeah.
I think the
The
deck
Goblin
is.
Bikers are getting some more support.
I I I think Goblin Biker becomes instant tier one if we get back into an XYZ format.
Shut up. No, it doesn't. It is so hard to play against Goblin Biker playing an Xyz deck.
But I don't
Oh
think it would be
my
that
god.
good. Then we have
No,
some more
it's
Goat's Pride support. Wasn't that like some OCG support that was released already? Because Goat Pride was a TCG exclusive
yeah, no,
before.
this is OCG. OCG has gotten the deck by now. I
Yep.
think they got it a while ago.
Yeah,
I
why
don't
ago some of the older cards that were shown before, I think.
if I remember correctly, I don't think this does a ton for the deck. The support cards that they did get. I've always liked Gold Pride. I think it's a fun I think it's the best TCG exclusive that we've got in a long time, but it still doesn't do much.
Yeah,
Speaking of TCG exclusive, what do you guys think about the next set of Ashen stuff that's supposed to be released?
man. Hopefully it's good because the deck is booty cheeks right now.
I love the artwork.
Yeah, artwork
Probably,
is top tier.
yeah, top tier, god tier artwork. But yeah, I mean, I honestly probably haven't even read the cards more than once each, but
Hmm.
I don't think that they do much right now. I've heard that from a lot of people that it's not really that good. Um, but
They've been just lacking on TCG exclusive archetypes. I mean,
I think if the next support of Ashen isn't good, I don't think the deck would be good at all.
no.
that's
Even if the
usually
last wave of support is broken.
Yep, usually how it goes. Like a lot of like the Tistina was a really great example where, the first initial wave was pretty bad. Like you could see the potential, but then that second wave was so bad and everybody just dropped it and nobody even talks about it anymore. It's kind of sad, but it
Yeah.
just goes to show that Konami obviously favors certain decks, and
Yeah,
certain archetypes and
and
certain play styles.
we're just getting into this like weird TCG exclusive thing where like we get a new one like every 2 sets and then they just forget about the last one.
Mm.
And it's just and they're all just bad. I mean, they're really like they used to make good ones. Like, wasn't Zoo a TCG
Zoo.
exclusive? Or...
No, Zoo was not a TCG
Oh well,
exclusive.
Cosmos
Um,
was. Cosmos
EA
was a good
was
one.
Cosmo.
Oh, Burning Abyss was the one I
EA.
was thinking a bit about, not
Oh,
Zoo. Yeah, no, it's you guys remember Vorrock?
well, that was pretty
Yeah,
bad.
when you
I wasn't
put
playing
stuff
during
like
that
that,
time. But yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
Warrock
bad.
was probably the worst new deck I've seen in my Valiance is up there, but I've seen people play around Valiance.
They're
I'm
like
actually really
worst
excited for
TCG
this.
exclusive.
Yeah, the Shining Sarcophagus stuff.
A
I
weird
think
mixed match archetype that
the
doesn't
Yugi
Like
do
the
archetype.
anything.
Yugi
Yeah.
cards, yep.
I just think it's kind of interesting. You want to know the main reason that I think it's is going to be fun is
Why?
I'm a Gren player. I love Gren.
Oh,
And
okay.
their Gandora is basically a Gren Maju, but
Yeah.
it counts both parties banished. So I think it could be good with certain things. Maybe throw some Runic in there to try to mill, get some more. But it's I like that they redid the Marshmallow, Gandora, the Silence Swordman and Magician.
Gears, stuff like
Gadgets,
that.
yeah.
It hits that right spot of um, what's the word?
Like
Bringing back your
nostalgia.
childhood. Yeah, the nostalgia effect, which I think people are going to eat that up. Valmonica, whatever. Ancient Gear, whatever. Um,
Fishboard, whatever. They only made
Fishboard,
one good
whatever.
fishboard card.
We need more fish support, though. I think Blaster could come off with an errata, which I think a lot of people have been talking about. The Memento stuff actually kind of looks okay.
I think
Then
it's Loki slept on like the new fusion and the fusion spell is pretty good.
I think it gives it raises its ceiling a lot. It even probably raises its floor a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but
pretty
I feel
solid.
like the maybe the only two things that are gonna do anything in the new archetypes are probably the Melodious and Lightsworn.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
I mean, that everybody's going to pick up Lightsworn. That's obviously a very high fan favorite deck that
Yeah.
a lot of people love and have loved and have wanted support for forever. So I could see everybody picking that up, even if it's not really that good, just kind of as a pet deck. But the Melodious stuff for sure. I think some people like the Goblin Biker, but I don't think it's going to do anything in the end.
Yeah.
So usually just kind of mid for the rest of it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
these two cards, very good cards.
So the illusion one is like a free special, right? And it searches or something like that.
Yeah, it's I think it specials by discarding a card, and
Right?
then
So it
let
does what
me
Dark Magician Apprentice
let's
does.
see, I
Dark
got
Yeah,
it right
Magician
here.
Apprentice.
Yeah, so it special summons by discarding one, and then on normal or special, it just adds any illusion from the deck,
just
which
any
is really
search.
good. And
Okay,
you
yeah,
know
that's
that it's
really good for the deck.
only going to get better too as more illusion support comes out.
This is definitely one like it's gonna be super cheap, and I would just pick up 3 of it on release.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you never know what kind of like illusion deck they'll release in the future.
Yeah, like I guarantee you, somewhere down the line, they're gonna print some like broken illusion.
Then what does the
deck.
XYZ do?
the XYZ is what I'm more excited about because it's played in Ubel really well actually. So it's 2+ level 10 monsters. You detach one as cost and negate anything, Omni negate. And then you have an optional then effect to detach one more to destroy any card on the field. And then if it
That's
attacks
good.
with material, it can also destroy another card on the field. So basically, you can get this out, negate something, attack with it, destroy a card, and then you can also, go into Zeus, something like that. Or you could just use the other detach effect. So I think it's gonna be pretty solid.
Yeah. Some recently announced archetypes. I think
The Fiend Smith.
somebody's gonna break this archetype. I
Yeah, you
I'm
just
really
make
excited.
good trust a lot. You just make the DDD negate.
yeah.
I think that could be
I
really
think
good.
yeah, he's a free level 4 or a free rank 6. I'm pretty sure just by himself, which is pretty good. I'm pretty really pumped because I just picked up max rarity magical muskets, so I feel good about that. Got them for real cheap, and now they're on buyout mode right now. But
Yeah, I think the Fable stuff is definitely gonna be played in this, like specifically because of the spell card that adds one, and then you discard a card. Where is it? Is it the quick play?
no, you had it right there,
Oh,
the
it's
the
right
one
there.
right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, this obviously triggers the Fable effects, and one of them is just when you discard it, you can just special summon it, so you get a free body. So
They also
Yeah.
got a Link One, it right?
hmm
they sure did, and the Link one is pretty good.
Yeah, I
It's a quick effect to special summon the main deck monster. Which is,
Oh,
yeah, so they go into themselves, and it also bridges. And another cool thing with muskets in particular is it does not require a level, so you can go into max, and then you can go into this,
yep.
which
there's
is really
just one
good.
light feed monster. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
insane.
Yeah, I think it's solid. I don't. I think some fabled cards will be played. It's obviously really good for pure fabled, but I don't think that's going to be a deck. I think it's going to be more of a
I think it's
small
they're
end.
just gonna play. Like I said, there's the level 1 guy that's when he's discarded he gets special. I think they're gonna play that just as like
Yeah,
a free body to go into. Yeah, that's. I mean,
definitely not bad. It's
definitely a super potential for like a first wave of support. Like they gave us a bunch of cards to like work with, and we already know how when Konami does this thing where they print like generic like effects. Like this is for light fiends, so we already know something's gonna be broken. Like now we're in the year of fire right now, and you know
will
how that's
soon be in the
going.
year of light, though. That's why I think this stuff is coming out. Light decks are supposed to be getting a pretty big bump this year.
Mm.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
oh, yeah.
no, you're good.
Anything else to say about this?
I was just gonna say, I just think it's really good. I think that somebody is going to break it. I think it's going to be an engine at first. It could possibly become a deck at some point, but this definitely looks more like an engine
Yeah,
type
for
of
now.
type of wave.
Mm-hmm. Drytron support. Just when you think this deck is never gonna come back, and it
Oh,
does.
it gets some more
Change roll.
support.
Yep.
um,
The level 1 is crazy, and the ritual summon you can actually like play a ritual that you ritual summon. Because I know Drytrons never actually summon the ritual monsters.
there is the one
Oh,
that locks it, I believe. One of them locks it into Drytron monsters or
Can't
machine rituals.
activate. You activate either of this card effects except machine monsters. So you cannot
Yeah.
summon monsters except machine monsters. So
I can see you playing one of the new Dad But then I would think the new level 1 will be played at 3 for this
Yeah,
deck.
it's just a generic searcher.
Yeah, I don't really care for Drytron. I've never really liked the deck, but it's
I
cool that
don't
it gets
either.
support. I know people love the deck and they have been waiting for this, so I'm happy for them. But I would prefer not to have to play against Drytron, just in general, if I can
Hmm.
help it. They also got a trap, which might not be too great, but usually
Traps are
trap
just
cards
too
aren't.
slow. Yeah.
Yeah, but you never know. Somebody could make something, and it is a quick ritual summon as a trap, so
Hmm.
it's usually pretty solid.
And now
But
we have our new
I,
gimmick
They
puppet
already
support.
got an
I have
FTK.
on
They
the
already got an FTK revealed for them with the new support.
So, from your guys' point of view, is this gimmick puppet support good? Because I haven't read any of them yet.
It's good for gimmick puppets. I
Yeah,
mean,
for the
it's
deck,
for the
obviously, yeah.
deck. I mean, it's good, and
think I think it's
But
the
do you think it
perfect.
would do anything? Because we won't get this for a while now.
I think it's the perfect
I.
wave of support. I think this is what support should look like for archetypes. It's a
Mhm.
lot of really good cards within pure archetype, but I just don't think it's enough to compete with top meta. But it'll definitely do something.
Yeah, and like people are already like playing around with like weird FTKs because you can like give control to your opponent like two monsters, and then you can make the rank 8 gimmick puppet and pop cards and burn. So there's already some goofy stuff going around with it. But yeah, I don't. It's gimmick puppet in 2024. I don't think it's gonna do anything crazy, but I mean the support's interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't think I could play it because of the art. The art has always creeped me out on every gimmick puppet card I've ever seen. I do like the Xyz actually, the
Which
C one
one?
and the other one,
Oh
both of them
yeah.
that they got. I like those artworks, but like, look at that! Like, what is that thing on the left? What what do you even call that?
The
He's dropping
artwork is
some sick beats.
the character from the series. That's what he looked like, apparently.
Huh?
Interesting.
Interesting.
Um,
I read through all of it. I think it's really good. I think it'll be a really good going second deck. I think it's like I said, a really good wave of support for the deck. I think it can make it a rogue deck, but
mhm.
it's just not enough. It's not broken, which unfortunately in today's Yu-Gi-Oh world, a deck needs to be broken to be good.
Yep.
I mean, their field spell got the generic field spell effect. When you activate it, you can add one. So I mean,
You
it's
know,
it's good.
there was some line I was thinking about where you just play a small engine with the field spell, and I think it was Puppet if it stays. Like there's a way. I think it might be just with this. There's something you can do that I don't know. Can't even think about it now. But there's different things that I think people can play. A lot of it does lock, unfortunately, into
Hmm.
gimmick puppets. But there might be some type of engine people make out of it.
Hmm.
Never really know.
Oh boy, here we go.
Hey, there it is. That's my Thunder Dragon monster right there.
The Thunder Dragon support.
Yeah, it might as well say Thunder Dragon Shivertaki because that's what it is. Um, I'll just talk about that real quick because I've kind of, like I said, been huffing a lot of coke, but it's light. It's a level 5. It's Thunder. It basically does exactly what you want it to do in a Thunder deck. Whenever they're sent from hand or field to the graveyard, which in that case it actually chain blocks, which is really nice. And if anything's activated in hand, it's an extender. I think it makes the deck playable pure if we get more support, but other than that, I don't think it's going to be played in anything else.
Hmm. I think this other card on the right side is it's a machine dupe target that just like locks off columns. I think it's kind of
Yeah.
funny, but I don't think it's whatever.
I think it's really good in pen. Everything that it does is negate all cards and effects activated in this card's column, even if it's in the pendulum zone.
Hmm.
But we don't like pen here.
Yeah, we don't like pen. I think the Synchro Monster is pretty good for Cyber's decks.
Cybers.
Is Mathmech coming back?
Yep,
is
let's
this
go.
is this
Coming
what
back.
Mathmech needs?
Free my boy Circular. I don't think he should have gotten banned. I think that was the 25th card that they needed for their 25th anniversary ban list, and they said, "F it, let's just throw Circular on there."
I
Um,
think this card could be really good in Salad if they find a way to make it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Especially since they've been trying to go like a lot of their support recently was synchro. It could be something. I think it would be good. It's basically a splash mage, but in synchro form.
Hmm.
And there's not any good synchro cybers monsters that are good besides Sigma. The level 8 Mathmech one is really bad. They have like a level 7 Cyber's Quantum Dragon or something like that. But back when I was playing Math Mech, I was trying to cook up in the lab with some synchro stuff, but none of it's good. So this has definitely got some potential.
This
Uh,
XYZ is, in my opinion, has potential to be okay, but it's pretty bad because I mean,
Yeah, I think
what level
because it
4
has to have an
illusion
illusion
monster?
monster,
Yeah,
like in Chimera probably, but like
they have one level 4, or like I mean, there's no point that I think you're gonna have 2 level 4s on the board to
yeah,
beat
2 level
this.
4.
yeah, I think this is one of those cards that's bad now, but will get better. It's generic too. So at worst case, it's a generic target negation for an effect monster.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're, I don't know, facing down a Baron or something, whatever it might be, you can access this as a toolbox in rank fours and negate that, and then continue with your plays. If there's any floodgate, if there's a Colossus on board. Um,
Yeah.
but it's interesting. Nothing, not going to do anything now, but potential.
Could
Mm-hmm.
possibly do something in the future.
Mhm. This guy.
This guy's artwork is awesome, but I think his effect is pretty mid. I mean, it's good for like plants, I guess, but he's a Link 5, so
Yeah,
Really,
like
really good in
it's
Pierce and
3
Avalon.
effect monsters.
mm,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's obviously great in time, for basically any plant deck, but I mean, it could be really good against combo decks. You could just get your life points up a ton and not even worry about your next couple turns. But yeah, it doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't even OTK by itself because it
yeah,
maxes it out. But it could be good. Probably won't see a ton of play.
yeah. But I think that's all we got.
Yeah. Um, Thank you guys for listening. This was our first episode, and we're kind of just toying around with the idea, but we love Yu-Gi-Oh. I'd say it's changed a lot of our lives, and we just
yeah,
kind of want to talk about it. And if you guys
really
like it,
big
that's
part.
cool.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.
All
Yeah.
right.
We got our regionals on the 24th. We'll definitely have a podcast after that and talk about our experience.
Yep, and we'll probably get some other people from the team on here as guests, because I mean, we obviously have our opinions, but there's a lot of other opinions in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. So,
I just want to put in one last word,
mm,
2 words,
2 words.
free Colossus.
Get out of here.